Hello Realmrankers. Realmranker here. Remember my video from last year's Eurovision 2025? Well, here is my video for this year's almost as bad Eurovision train wreck or dumpster fire. This year's Eurovision wasn't as bad as last year's shit show featuring Nemo the transvestite and the cat singer JJ. But nonetheless, Israel again wormed its way into the top 5, taking almost the coveted Eurovision trophy. I mean, how much did Israel pay to get that far? Luckily, even though I personally believe there are many better songs than Bulgaria's Bangaranga, she still won this year's competition, overtaking Israel by 173 points. I mean, Israel has been rigging the Eurovision Song Contest well since they joined back in 1973. The Eurovision Song Contest started in May of 1956, but Israel didn't participate until 1973. The reason for that is interesting in its own right. In the early 1970s, Elanit, a famous Israeli singer, was offered the opportunity to represent Germany in the Eurovision Song Contest. But who cares about Israel that far back? I mean, look at the last 3 years, including their winner back in 2018. Here are the specific placements. 2018, first place Toy by Netta. 2023, third place Unicorn by Noah Carroll. 2024, fifth place Hurricane by Eden Golan. 2025, second place New Day Will Rise by Yuval Raphael. Including this year's rigged entry known Betan with his stupid song Michelle. I mean, the last 3 entries show you how much Israel has been rigging Eurovision. You are probably asking yourselves, well, who could have possibly been a better winner of this year's Eurovision? Let me name a whole list of artists ranked in the order they placed in the grand final. Romania, 3rd place. Australia, 4th place. Finland, 6th place, the supposed favorite. Albania, 12th place. Croatia, 15th place. Czechia, 16th place. Serbia, 17th place. Lithuania, 22nd place. Here's a list of countries who shouldn't have even qualified for the grand final or ranked so high. Israel, 2nd place. Italy, 5th place. Denmark, 7th place. And any other countries like Greece, Belgium, or any similar country who shouldn't have even qualified. I mean, Italy doesn't have a bad song, but it's not so good that it should have been allowed in the top 5. Countries that should have qualified: Latvia, Portugal, not to mention that Israel is even allowed to still continue taking part in Eurovision at all. I mean, Russia has been banned since 2022 when they invaded Ukraine. So shouldn't have Israel been banned as well, since they started attacking neighboring territories after October 7th, 2023, which means they should have not have been even allowed to participate for the last 3 years since 2024. So if Israel gets to participate in Eurovision, then Russia should as well. Same supposed rights for all or not. I don't think that Russia will be participating anytime soon because of the EBU's woke cowardice ways. So we'll probably be seeing more boycotts and Israel rigging more and more Eurovisions to come. What a joke. Could you imagine Dara dancing with peacocks while Netta dances with some fat chickens? Well, there's not much more to say other than congratulations to Dara with her song Bangaranga, even though there would be more other deserving countries. As shown in these news clips, you can see what I am talking about in regards Israel's rigging efforts.
Bulgaria has claimed victory at the 70th edition of the Eurovision Song Contest. The song Bangaranga by the artist Dana claimed the top prize. Israel finished second. Now, the contest has been boycotted by 5 countries this year because organisers allowed Israel to compete. Spain, Ireland, the Netherlands, Iceland and Slovenia have all decided to not take part in the event in protest against the Israeli war on Gaza. Probably isn't the Eurovision without the politics, as you mentioned there, Israel, but there's also been another reason why this contest has been overshadowed by its participation. Can you talk us through why that is?
Yes, so as you mentioned, 5 broadcasters did not send acts acts to Eurovision this year. That's Ireland, Slovenia, the Netherlands, Iceland and Spain, who's a major funding financial partner of Eurovision. And they said that they did not believe in Eurovision's reasons to allow Israel to take the stage, and they think that boycotting does put them on the right side of history. As well as those protests, we saw protests in the streets, some 2,000 people marching through the streets of Vienna, accusing Eurovision of giving a platform to Israel while it commits war crimes in Gaza. So anger both outside the arena and inside. But I have to say that Noah Betan's performance did take place without any protest. There were some shouts of "Stop the Genocide" during his semi-final performance, and EBU was braced for disruption, but there was no visible protests that we saw tonight. But however, the competition has come under heavy scrutiny and heavy pressure from both fans, artists, broadcasters about Israel's participation.
All right, thanks very much for that update. Charlie Angela there speaking to us from the arena where the Eurovision contest has been happening in Vienna.
In 1973, the state of Israel would join that Eurovision Song Contest. And now, this Saturday, Vienna's Stadthalle is going to host the final of the 70th Eurovision Song Contest. 35 countries are going to compete. One of those is Israel. They participate with their song Michelle, that's about a toxic relationship and how to move on from that. And again, Israel started, just like last year, campaigning the vote system so much that this year they at least received a formal warning for alleged abuse of the system. And as that goes on, the UN's OCHA puts the death toll in Gaza and the occupied West Bank, including East Jerusalem, at 72,135 Palestinians, with 171,830 injured between October 2023 and March 2026.
And what we are witnessing right now is whole families, children, women arriving to the hospitals. If you can see around me, we can still see the ambulances arriving to the Shuhada al-Aqsa hospital, mostly women, mostly children. I mean, this is undescribable. This is like a massacre.
Palestinian kids still get shot by the Israeli forces when they walk through the rubbles of their former lively cities to find food or water.
No toddler gets shot twice by mistake by the world's best sniper. And they're dead center shots. All of the disasters I've seen combined, 40 mission trips, 30 years, ground zero, earthquakes, all of that combined doesn't equal the level of carnage that I saw against civilians in just my first week in Gaza.
The homes that aren't destroyed yet still get stolen by Israeli settlers. And if this hasn't given you enough reasons yet as to why Israel should have been long excluded from this event, maybe just Google Israel one school class a day. The country responsible and which has at every turn defended its right to continue this is participating in this very competition that is meant to stand for peace and show a bit of whimsy. And we are all wondering why. The European Broadcasting Union, the institution that operates and organizes the Eurovision Song Contest, made the decision in December last year to keep Israel in the Eurovision Song Contest for 2026, this year. And we have now arrived to this day and its performers have already walked the turquoise carpet. But take a look here as something stands out during this live stream of the contestants representing their country, walking the turquoise carpet one after the other. It's a turquoise carpet just like last year, but with the difference that this year there are 5 participants less. There are fewer countries competing than at any point in over 2 decades. 5 countries withdrew this year, all in protest of the same thing. Israel being allowed to send an artist down a turquoise carpet and compete in this event, and in doing so, launder the image of a state conducting a campaign that has killed more than 72,000 people. And while it has been getting increasingly difficult to brush off the activism against Israel's inclusion, the EBU attempts to find middle ground, but does so without falling through with its promises. The host broadcaster of this year's Eurovision Song Contest said that they would not ban the Palestinian flag or censor out booing during Israel's performance, which Eurovision has been doing in previous years. But this doesn't seem to be the case, because when you look at Israel's semi-final performance this year, its start was met with this. And when you look at the official Eurovision's video of Israel's performance, you hear this. The EBU then came out with a statement saying that they believe the focus should be on artists and music and have removed the audio heard on the live broadcast after all. That's strike one. And get ready for strike two, because the Austrian broadcaster's response on what was with the decision to mute audience feedback on the YouTube video, they said that the decision was a matter for the EBU. So now the version of events they're telling people is asking you to believe that removing crowd noise is about artistic integrity. And this is quite the remarkable institutional choice to erode your own credibility just to cover for Israel. But that's the fiction the EBU has been running with in its explanation as to why Israel remains in the contest. It's all about the music, it's not a political event. And you have Israel's contestant Noam Betan reinforcing that idea when he addressed the booing.
I heard those booing and everything, and there was a moment of like a wow effect, you know, like a little shock. But a few seconds passed, and I looked for the flags, you know, of the people who love me. I felt that I'm succeeding to express myself in the most authentic and accurate way.
And the framing that this isn't a political event falls flat on its face, because the person that was yelling "Stop the genocide" was removed by security from the crowd. You can't let Israel participate, say it's a non-political event, and then throw out the people that oppose Israel's actions. Or what about this moment outside of the stadium? This young man here, my boys, peacefully stood here holding up a Palestinian flag so tiny that you could fit in a cocktail glass. And then another person showed up proudly carrying his Israel scarf. Nothing happened as the two just stood beside each other. But the police came, and you can see how he had to leave here. But guess who's still allowed to party there? Reminder, the EBU calls this a non-political contest that's only about music. And this is why it is important that the 5 countries have withdrawn from the contest. Not only is the event unable to manhandle them out of there, they also cannot silence the depth of their statements. Ireland's national broadcaster RTE issued a statement saying that they're deeply concerned by the targeted murders of journalists in Gaza and the denial of access to international journalists to the territory, and instead will air an episode of a Eurovision parody from Father Ted, an Irish cult classic from the 90s, which, interestingly enough, the co-writer of the sitcom, Graham Linehan, called out for being anti-Semitic, demanded the resignation of the broadcaster's general director, but in the same statement, he also had this to say.
What kicked it off, this current wave of sudden interest in the Middle East? Not something that Israel did to the Palestinians, but an atrocity carried out by the Palestinians against Israel. Every single death in Gaza is on Hamas's head.
You guys can form your own opinion on that one. Slovenia, on the other hand, stated, instead of the Eurovision circus, the national television program will be colored by the thematic program series Voices of Palestine. The Netherlands said in a statement that severe humanitarian suffering in Gaza, along with restrictions on press freedom, is not compatible with the values they stand for. And Iceland's broadcaster's director general stated that it is clear that neither joy nor peace will prevail regarding the participation of RUV in Eurovision. It is therefore the conclusion of RUV to notify the EBU today that RUV will not take part in Eurovision next year. Absolutely epic. And finally, Spain, the country that is part of what the EBU considers as the Big Five. 5 countries that make the biggest financial contributions to the EBU issued a statement saying that the situation in Gaza, despite the ceasefire and the approval of the peace process and Israel's use of the contest for political purposes, make it increasingly difficult to maintain Eurovision as a neutral cultural event, breaking one of the longest streak of consecutive appearances at the contest with 64 times. For years, we have seen Israel participate as if they haven't been carrying out a genocide, as if there hasn't been apartheid or any international violations of law. But finally, countries that have helped build this cultural event have begun to take action, which helps further expose the blatant contradiction that still goes unanswered to this day. Amnesty International puts it plainly: the failure of the European Broadcasting Union to suspend Israel from Eurovision, as it did with Russia, is an act of cowardice and an illustration of blatant double standards when it comes to Israel. When we revisit the events that led to the EBU's decision to ban Russia from Eurovision in 2022, we can see that several countries called for a boycott, along with 2 countries threatening to withdraw if Russia was allowed to participate: Finland and Estonia. Sound familiar? Shortly after Russia launching its war against Ukraine, the EBU issued a statement banning Russia, adding that the inclusion of a Russian entry in this year's contest would bring the competition into disrepute. That's what we got when two countries threatened withdrawal, which tells the world that such a precedent exists, and that this institution has demonstrated it knows how to use it. But fast forward to today, and we see that the EBU has made the remarkable institutional choice of prioritizing Israel's inclusion over some of its most esteemed participants.
Now, who do you think should have won the Eurovision Song Contest 2026? Or who do you think should have ranked higher? Let me know in the comments below. I mean, even a poll thought that all artists of all competing countries should have ranked differently. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in my next video.
Waste of song.
We were so close and yet far.